Hey, welcome back to Watch Jelly. My name is Alvin. So we have a very special guest with us, Aaron. So Aaron is somehow we managed to connect through Watch Jelly. Aaron has he said that he sort of fell into this rabbit hole because he watched some videos during the pandemic. Somehow we managed to connect. I suppose you watched Watch Jelly for a little bit, and so after speaking for several months, we finally decided to come on and talk a bit about this very very toxic hobby that we have, money sucking toxic habit that we have. It's painful to talk about it, but also very very, which gives us also immense joy at the same time. So it's a bit of a let's just say a bit of a complicated conundrum that we're in. But nevertheless, welcome Aaron. Good morning on this Sunday. So I'm in Hong Kong. Yeah, I'm in Hong Kong. You're in Singapore.
Right.
Is it hot and dry right now in Singapore?
It was actually raining a bit just now, but I think now the rain has stopped and the sun is out, so back to being hot and humid.
Hot and humid, yeah. So that's yeah. So I think this year is going to be a pretty hot summer, hot and dry summer. So we all got to take care. Everyone drink up. Wear your steel watches with adjustable clasps because you're going to be sweating bullets. And great. So Aaron, so this is a podcast episode that we've been trying to do. Invite us, hopefully friends, speakers, guests. I don't want to go speakers, sounds a bit strange, but friends and guests to come on, who want to talk a bit about themselves, talk about their backgrounds, and also their watches and how that sort of translates into their watch collections. So Aaron, tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So, my name's Aaron. I'm originally from Malaysia, so I'm a Singapore PR now. So, I completed my secondary school studies back in Malaysia, and then I came over here to do my diploma in Singapore Polytechnic, and then later on went abroad to Australia, to the University of Melbourne to get my degree, and then later on I just came back here to start working here. So I came back at the age of 23, and I've been working in Singapore for the past 7 years now.
Right. So which part of Malaysia, by the way? I mean, I know I have a lot of Malaysian friends myself, but sometimes everyone's from everywhere. So compared to Singapore, which is just a bloody city, right? So whereabouts are you from in Malaysia?
I'm from Johor. So just very nearby, across the causeway only. But during COVID time, I'm sure all the Malaysians or all the foreigners in Singapore have felt the same way. Like, even though it's just a causeway across, but not being able to go back during that time was definitely challenging.
So near yet so far, right?
Exactly.
I know. We saw a lot of the articles that talk about people literally being just across the causeway. It's like a 30-minute thing, right? But yet about 2.5 years, 2.5 to 3 years of not seeing family. So that was tough on a lot of people. But you know what? I'm glad it's over. I think one of the So I think COVID brought about some heartache for a lot of people. It's a very very serious topic. But at the same time, I think you also shared with me that through COVID, you somehow fell into this pit. You want to tell us more about what happened here of watch collecting?
Sure. I'll be happy to. Yeah, so it was during COVID, so end of 2021, during that time. So I'm sure, same like many other people, during COVID you have a lot more free time on your hands. So that was the case for me, and I was just trying to think, if I can have a new hobby, hopefully something that I can spend time appreciating, as well as exploring more of the just to appreciate the hobby even more, to learn more about it. So, and for myself, I'm working as a financial consultant. So I wanted a hobby that I could also bond with my clients over. So I was thinking, most of my clients are guys, so I was thinking watches would be a very good topic to have a chat with them about, because being a financial consultant, when you're talking about financial products, insurance products and things like that, usually the topic is very dry. So that is how I felt most of my conversations or interactions with my clients have been. It's very, very professional only. So I wanted something that I can maybe become a friend with them over first while talking about my main job, right? So I was thinking watches would be something good to explore. And it was also during that time that I started watching YouTube videos like yours, right? Just to open my mind to what this hobby is all about, like what is so appealing. Because I've heard many people, even some very close people around me who previously had this hobby, which I did not know how to appreciate previously. I was thinking, what is so appealing about this hobby? So yeah, after watching some videos, knowing that even though a watch is such a small thing, but there's so many parts of it to appreciate, and that's when I really, really fell into it.
So I think so one thing maybe before we carry on, I think although your clientele mostly are men, I think it's also quite gratifying to see that a lot more women, at least that I see online or people around me that are paying closer attention to watches as well. I think one, for this channel to be a bit more diverse and inclusive, I hope to get a female guest one day as well, to be honest, and talk about watches as well. Sometimes it's a bit too much of a men's geeky thing, but I hope more and more women get into this hobby and so that they can understand, that it's unisex, it's meant to be for everyone, a very, very inclusive hobby. So great. So you said you've been here for 7 years. I would say. You've been working in your role for 7 years, but you've been in Singapore for longer, obviously some years in Melbourne as well. So would you maybe if you can just talk a little bit about how your experience here has been. Would you say I don't know, so for some of my Malaysian friends in Singapore, they say like Singapore is very cutthroat, very, very rough, it's a lot more stressful. Would you say that's the case? The reason why I'm asking is because when I moved to Hong Kong about a year and a half ago, people always compare Singapore and Hong Kong being quite similar, but I think it's quite different culturally. I think also it's a bit more fast paced here. It's a bit more, shall we say, cutthroat, maybe, if you will. So I don't know. Is that something that you felt, or in terms of the differences in stress levels, or the different pace of life in working in Singapore versus back home?
Well, actually, for me, I can't really have a comparison because I've never worked in Malaysia.
Okay.
So,
what about life in general? Do you think?
For me here, I think it's quite similar.
Okay.
Actually. So in terms of day to day, the types of people around you. Food especially, right? Food is a part of my life. So food wise is also very similar. And plus, being from Johor, for me to travel back. COVID aside, it was very convenient. I used to travel back maybe once every 3 to 4 weeks. So I didn't really feel much different here, especially for my two older brothers as well. Our sort of like schooling and career paths are very similar. We just completed our secondary school back in Malaysia and then came over here, did our diploma, went to Australia to get our degree, and then later on come back here to work. So I pretty much had everything mapped out already. So I knew what to expect, and it wasn't a very, huge change for me.
That's good to know. That's good to know, because I've heard Singapore's so stressful, and sometimes it's I guess culturally it's a bit different, but at the same time, it's good to hear that it's not so different, and the adjustment, especially as you said, it's not very drastic. So that's good to know. So any Malaysians listening out there, although it's a small sample size, but of you and your brothers, but I hope everyone feels like Singapore is not super stressful all the time. So So okay. So maybe moving on. So you say you've been in this role with a financial advisor for 7 years. And somehow I look at your watches and I look at your Instagram page, I look at your YouTube channel, Time to Watch, which I've looked at. You've been reviewing watches for I think almost a year now or so. And dude, your watches are incredible. The number of watches that you have, considering that you've only been in this for slightly over a year, you must be doing quite well, my friend.
Has its ups and downs, I guess. For much like any other sales roles, it's sort of like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're high, sometimes things a bit quieten down a little bit. So, but I would say so far in my career-wise, I have had some degree of success.
That's good.
I would say. But I'm hoping to improve even further because there are still many other watches out there waiting to be acquired. So far things have been okay, but I'm trying to make it even better.
Right. So So with regards to you starting this new hobby, and I see behind you have a lot of photos of your wife and your baby. Does your wife has your wife said anything about this new expensive hobby that you've taken on?
It's funny that you're asking that, because at first she was a bit, she tried to convince me to slow down a bit from time to time, but now I've sort of influenced her as well. So I thought, if you can't beat them, right, join them, right? So get her to join me in this hobby. So she currently also has her own small collection as well.
That's nice.
And she's starting to appreciate it even deeper now, I would say. Yeah, but now, like you mentioned also, with the baby now, expenses-wise and everything has gone up. So it is a very fun hobby, but like what you said, it does drain your finances quite drastically sometimes. So definitely need to be more responsible on that front.
Yeah. So I think it's something that I also talked about. I think I previously I was on a podcast with a few, I would say, relatively fresh graduates.
Right.
And I think at the point they were asking about the investment angle of watches or owning watches in general. I think my advice is always buy what you can afford, right? And don't literally just pump all your money into watches or go into debt buying watches. I think that's not super healthy. But it's good to know. I mean, it's nice that your wife is also collecting watches now, and perhaps maybe one for your baby as well. I mean, to commemorate your yeah. Do you have a daughter or a son, by the way?
A daughter.
A daughter. Wow. What's her name?
Her name is Aria. Aria.
Oh, Aria. Okay. So I hope baby Aria has a nice watch from mom or dad in the not too distant future.
In the future, all of these will be for her and any other future kids if you were to have.
Damn, that's nice. That's brilliant, bro. So I think when it comes to so I think we're talking about watches, right? I think we've talked about having a few watches featured in the episode today, and I think one of them, I'm not sure which one you want to start with. Which one are you keen to start with? Is it the
Glashutte original?
The Glashutte? You want to go Glashutte? Let's do it. Yeah. So I've been reading a bit about the Glashutte, the one that you specifically gave, and it's a square watch for the most part. Not the easiest watch to wear because it's square. People are, why am I wearing a square watch? But how would you say? Well, how did you decide upon this watch, and how did you decide? Like, okay, I like this so much that I'm willing to buy it for yourself.
Awesome. So maybe I'll just show you guys first. So this is what the watch looks like. So Alvin is right. It is a pretty square watch, although not perfectly square. It is less squarish than the Octo Finissimo, right? That you have as well. But so how I came to firstly know about this brand was that when I was buying my Omega Speedmaster pre-owned on Carousel. So when I met up with that dealer, after completing everything, the sizing of the bracelet and all of that, so I was just having a chat with him about, what other brands do you recommend that I look into, because I'm keen to explore. So then he said, if you want something that is not very common out there and yet the quality is good, the history is good, look at Glashutte Original. So when he mentioned that, I was like, well, I've never heard of that brand before, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to find out. So went on their website, looked at all their products, and this was the one that caught my eye at the time. So I think that was in February or March of last year.
Okay.
So that was when this piece was still available. So there's a funny story there as well. So then I checked how many places in Singapore actually had this brand. So at the time, only 4. So there were only 4 specific boutiques in Singapore that were carrying this brand. So I went to all of them, to check out if they had this piece, because I wanted to try it on in person.
Right.
So it was at Cortina. So only Cortina had one, but at the time it was on a strap. It was on a leather strap. So I wanted it on a bracelet. Right, so that was why, even though it was available there, I tried it on. I thought my wrist could still pull it off, even though, like what you said, it is a bit challenging to wear because of the shape and the size. But I didn't pull the trigger immediately, partly because of the price as well. It's not a very affordable watch. But I was thinking, wow, the dial color, the grey dial color, the Panorama date, and the overall shape, I really like this watch. So much like many other watch enthusiasts out there who have a watch they have their eye on, even though it's available, but maybe for whatever reason they haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Right.
What you do, you're on YouTube, on the website every day, just trying to understand more about the watch, right? Admire the watch. So I was doing this for, I can't remember for how long. And then one day when I was on their website, I realized that the listing, not the listing, so the page for this particular model reference was removed. So I was thinking, well, that can only mean one thing, right? It means they're either going to discontinue it or they already discontinued it. So that immediately, like, a switch just flipped. I was thinking, okay, I really like this watch, even though it's on a leather strap, but I can always get it first, and later on, if I really want a bracelet, I can additionally, right, get the bracelet and then swap that in. So on that day itself, when I confirmed that it got discontinued, I called the boutique again where it was available, asked if that piece that I tried on was still available. The sales assistant said yes, and then immediately I just rushed down to the boutique and I got it.
Pull the trigger. No, so for this one, I think it's quite interesting. So Glashutte, I think something that I really appreciate about your watch, as you said, that the date window, amazing, right? I think it's a common characteristic of East German timepieces. So Lange und Söhne, also Glashutte. It's related in some sense, very geeky part of history, which I'm not super. I didn't read super deeply into, but there's a shared history there, shared heritage there. Also, another piece with ginormous date windows, which is a hallmark of, I think, both Glashutte, Lange und Söhne, East German timepieces. So I think to be honest, now that I've seen you talk about this, and I think also given, so Lange is super premium watch, is a super premium watch brand. I think for folks who want to get into German engineering, German watches, certainly Glashutte, I think it's a bit friendlier on the pocket, I would say, and I think a lot of them, I think in terms of the certain DNA, certain characteristics of the date, and then also the engineering part, I think might be worthwhile considering dipping your toes into before jumping a balls deep into don't mind the expression, balls deep into the German watches. Yeah. So no, but to be honest, yeah, that's amazing. Would you say does the watch have an open case back, by the way? It does, right?
Yes, it does. Right? Trying to just, I'm not sure on FaceTime whether it'll be
should be fine.
Clear, but you can just roughly see it there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean not a Lange und Söhne level of detail and finishing, definitely, right? Because this is like a fraction of the price. But for me at that time, this is one of my first luxury pieces in my collection. So being able to admire this movement for me was, already very happy with it.
Yeah, and I think that on the clasp itself, you can actually press it to move to adjust the bracelet, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the best thing about Glashutte is that the double G logo here is actually a button to either shorten or lengthen the bracelet, and I think it's up to 8 millimeters if I'm not wrong. So provides quite a bit of flexibility when you need it, especially in our climate here. Definitely, I do appreciate that feature of the watch.
8 millimeters, okay, that's brilliant, man. I think Rolex the adjustable clasp is the quick set clasp is what, 5 millimeters. It's 5, right? Yeah. So 8 is brilliant. Damn. And somewhere you can go. Probably,
you can go in increments.
Yeah, it's 222, right? Is it 222 or maybe it's every millimeter? Any idea?
I'm not too sure about that.
But you can definitely go. You can definitely go bit by bit. It's supposed to just one time. Wow, that's amazing. Right. Shit, that's good. Okay. That's fun. So for all of you out there, I mean, to me that alone is a fantastic selling point, right? Yeah, and cool. So is there a second piece that you want to talk to us about today?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, one of the most early, I would say, luxury pieces that I purchased is actually this Bvlgari Octo Roma.
Right.
So I believe the Octo Finissimo came after this, right? So why this piece is special to me was this was actually when I only started out in watches, I explored the typical more entry level brands like Orient, Seiko's, like French brands. So when I decided that okay, it's time for me to get something more significant, right? I was just again on all the websites checking out different brands, trying to look for a model that I would be completely comfortable with or happy with, to put aside that amount of budget into.
Right.
So yeah, I checked out many different brands, and then when I came upon Bvlgari, this was the model that caught my eye at the time. Firstly, why I chose this over the Finissimo at that time was, of course, the price is much more affordable. It has a date window, and also I liked how the shape is not too squarish. So so those are some of the key things that really drew me to this piece. But why it wasn't the first piece that I actually got was because it wasn't available at the boutique at the time. So I had to place a deposit, and I think the waiting time was about 4 months. So in between that time, again, I acquired some other pieces. But when I went to the boutique to collect this piece, which is one of the videos that I have, so it's actually the Bvlgari Octo Roma collection experience. It was also very fun. First time at a watch boutique, collecting a brand new watch, and then when I saw it in person, pictures and videos definitely don't do this watch justice at all. The black lacquer dial, the polishing of the hour markers, and the case and the bracelet itself, it was definitely a very exciting day for me.
So I know that for Bvlgari Octo Roma, I think recently they refer.
There's new version too.
They sort of did some refurbishment to the line, but at the time that you got it, there's a black lacquer which you have. Are there other dial colors that you were also considering as well, or what were the other dial colors? In fact, were you?
So, there was a two-tone one. There was a two-tone one where the hour markers were rose gold, and the dial was a very maroon brown kind of color. That one was also very beautiful.
Okay.
But of course, being two-tone, right, the price was quite a bit higher. There's another pure stainless steel version with a blue dial, but at that time, without many pieces in my collection, I thought black was a safer bet at the time. So and the black here is just so glossy and deep that it really attracted me to it. So if you're asking me, was it a tough consideration between this and any other dial color? No. So for me, it was just black. Yeah, clear cut. Yeah,
interesting, because funny you say that. The blue, is it a sunburst blue as well, or
it is a sunburst blue?
So if we compare to the Octo Finissimo, right, which you have as well,
right?
Funny, they went lacquer black here, but the Octo Finissimo is it's a matte. I wouldn't call it black, but it's sort of a deep charcoal, if you will, a deeper charcoal. Right. I mean both are very different pieces, right? But if you say that one is lacquer and then one is sunburst blue, it's actually a bit closer. But I can see the appeal of the black lacquer. I think it might be interesting if for the Octo Finissimo they do a black lacquer.
That would be amazing.
That would be very, very fun to look at. Okay. So
that would be cool.
Yeah, even though the matte is nice, but I think the lacquer black, and then given the high polish of the Octo Finissimo, that would be a very fun combo.
Yeah,
I think
that contrast would be mind blowing, man. Seriously.
Shit. I haven't thought about that. Okay, that's fun. But so when this Octo Roma, you got it in the bracelet. Are you able to change out the bracelet to a strap? Because the new one, I think they give you both.
Right.
And you can do a quick switch.
One, let me just check. I'm not even too sure because once if you have a tool, definitely, you're able to. So you're not able to just dig your finger in and change the bracelet, which honestly I don't intend to anyway. Okay. So I have watches on bracelets mostly, and this one is just done beautifully. I mean, with the brushed main links and the polished intermediate links. I think the light play on this piece, I'm not sure if it shows but I think it's just beautiful.
So how does this bracelet compare to the Octo Finissimo bracelet? I think the Octo Finissimo bracelet is a hidden class number 1. So that's fine. But how would you say it compares? It should be a bit thicker, just a bit thicker, right? Or
definitely. In fact, it is quite a bit. It is quite a bit. In terms of the types of finishing, it's actually the same. Okay. So the brush parts and the polish parts, they are the same. But of course, the lug width on the Octo Finissimo is much broader. So the taper is also much more obvious there.
Right.
In terms of the clasp, definitely the one on the Octo Finissimo, they did it brilliantly where the clasp actually folds into the bracelet. I think that is just attention to detail done perfectly. Yeah. So in terms of that, the bottom part of the wrist, comfort as well as thickness-wise, the Octo Roma can't compete with the Octo Finissimo. Other than that, I'm honestly enjoying both.
That's brilliant, man. That's brilliant. Okay, so Okay, cool. So maybe let's move to the last piece. I think this one's the big one. The big one. I think this one. Trust me, even my people around me, people who don't really pay attention in the waters, they're like, "Hey, can I get this? Can I get this piece?" So tell us about this very fun last piece. Yeah.
So the last one I wanted to talk about today is the Rolex Submariner Date, reference 126610 LV, otherwise known as the Starbucks.
Yep.
This one, I mean, in itself, the watch itself is already very special, because I'm sure many other people are like me. Nowadays, if you can go into Rolex, if you have the chance to go into a Rolex boutique, purchase any Rolex watch at retail, that in itself is already quite a unique and special experience. So I definitely appreciated, having the opportunity to purchase this piece. But what made it even more special for me is that it's actually in the photo here, but of course, in the video, it's too far away and it's too small. But so when my daughter was born, I actually wore this piece. So it is something that I've already decided, even if I don't pass any other pieces to her in the future, this piece will definitely be hers. So whenever I look at it now, it's just that, that sentimental feeling that I get, like, I still remember that she was born. And of course now it's only been 5 months now, so of course I still remember it very clearly, but I'm sure even many years down the road, when I look at this watch, besides the specialty of the watch itself, that memory will always be there because of the watch as well. So yeah.
That's nice. No, I think, but okay. So would you say that I mean, Submariners wise, this was the first time Rolex has gone into 41 for the sub. How has and would you say obviously it's not the same to compare this with the Yachtmaster that you have, which we both have. Would you say it wears a bit differently compared to the Yachtmaster? Yeah, I mean Yachtmaster is obviously not a dive watch per se, but this one does it feel chunkier on the wrist? Does it feel I don't know, because I've always found it a bit interesting why they went to 41 for this one, for the new line of subs. Would you say, how does the wearing experience go for the 41 sub?
For my wrist, actually 41, especially with the more tapered lugs, right, on the new reference compared to the previous 40mm subs, I think it works very well. I think even wrist slightly smaller than mine, 6.5 inches, or maybe even 6.25 inches, it would still wear the watch pretty well. But if you're really comparing to the Yachtmaster, this is where I always find it very interesting. I think you mentioned it in your video as well, that the Yachtmaster is so underrated, and I completely agree with that, because on the wrist, comfort-wise, the Yachtmaster wins, definitely. With the different case shape, so the Yachtmaster has a different case shape than the very slab-sided case of the Submariner.
Yep.
And also it's thinner by 1mm, if I'm not wrong. So
in terms of the case depth.
Correct.
Yeah, so should be about that. Yeah.
So I think this is a 12.5. That one is an 11.5. So in terms of comfort on wrist, and especially if you're wearing it throughout the whole day, long hours, the Yachtmaster is definitely more comfortable. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So no, I'm glad this one also. So sorry for the geeky question about the
no problem.
No, but it's great that you have a story that ties in with your daughter's birth, right? I think that one is why we always when we talk about the sentimental side of watches, this is a perfect example of why we always or at least I always talk about attaching meaning to something to a watch, not just about monetary value or how you got it, that kind of thing. So that's amazing.
And also the funny thing was that before I actually brought my wife over to the hospital, right, I was still standing there thinking, which watch do I want to wear to the hospital? And I was thinking, I need to have something with the date, because I want to take a picture of the watch with my baby in the background, which I did. And just to have the date in the photo as well. So you can understand my level of obsession, right, of this whole thing. So yeah, that just makes it so much more fun.
That's funny. Okay, that's interesting. Wow, something to think about. Okay, so which watch to wear? Wow. Okay, speaking of which watch, so to round up our episode today, I think you shared with me that there's something that you are looking to. There's a wish list that you have.
There's always the next one.
And specifically, what's on top of the wish list? the next piece that you're looking to attain, and what would that be? To share with everyone on the podcast and then on the video.
Sure. So I'm sure many people also are aiming for the same piece that I hope to have, which is the one that I recently got. I think it was the end of last year. So it's the Rolex GMT Master 2 Pepsi. Yeah. So that would be my next grail piece, I would say.
Why that piece, by the way? Why?
I just think that one on the Jubilee bracelet, because so far I don't have a Rolex sports model on a Jubilee bracelet. So I think that one sort of brings like the best of both worlds, where when you look at the case shape, you know that it is a more utilitarian, sporty watch, and yet it has a Jubilee bracelet, so it can be more dressy as well. But I've also spoken to many of my friends who said, oh no, the GMT Master needs to be on an oyster bracelet, because that's what it originally is. But I'm like, no, it's really more about whichever one that you prefer, whichever one that speaks to you. So that is one that I really hope to add. And I think that one with the 40mm case, the 40mm case plus the slightly less protruding case back, due to not needing that much water resistance, I think that the wearing experience for that piece is going to be even more amazing than the Sub. So yeah, the many reasons why I would want that piece, but those are a few that I can name right now.
No, that's brilliant. I think I do agree to a certain extent that the original 6542, yes, it came with an oyster bracelet. It's the hallmark of Rolex sports models. But I have to also say that if you do your research and read up a bit, there are GMT Pepsis or even non-Pepsis, right, that throughout the years have gone into Jubilee. So the Jubilee bracelet is in large part very much part of the DNA and heritage of a GMT Master. And I would say, as you said, aesthetically it looks a bit dressier, like similar to a Datejust. But at the same time, it's still very much a sporty utilitarian tool watch. That has gone a bit atas, basically. It's gone a bit more upmarket, right, if you will. And I think one little point to add. This is super more on a functional basis, because it is a Jubilee bracelet. It's a 5-link bracelet. Ventilation for your wrist wise, it's actually better than an oyster. So if you 33, 35 degree heat, ultra humid,
you'll appreciate that.
Yeah. It's better for you. And then if you have a hairy arm, that it's also slightly better for you as well. Just sharing. So for someone who has owned it for a while. Great.
Yeah.
So Aaron, maybe I'll let to round off. Do you tell our listeners about your channel and your Instagram account that you've been trying to grow over the last year or so?
For myself, Instagram account still okay. That one is just purely as a hobby. But the YouTube channel is the one that I'm more passionate in. I just hope to share as much of my appreciation of this hobby as I can, and same way how I explore so many different YouTube channels, and that helped me learn along the way. I also hope to be able to do that for some of my viewers as well. So the name of the channel is Time to Watch, and there are quite a few channels named there. So I think if it's possible, maybe I can just add in that link in the description of
Sure.
podcast. Yeah, that'll be good. So I mainly do watch, unboxing, and review videos, and so far I've only done those for watches that I personally own. In the future, if I have enough friends around me who trust me enough that I can, loan their pieces and also do videos, I hope to do that as well. But yeah, personally, there's still quite a few pieces in my collection that I haven't done yet. So yeah, I'm just hoping to keep creating more engaging, interesting content for people who want to appreciate it.
Brilliant. So Aaron, this is just proof that you're never too late into a hobby. I think Aaron has been looking at watches for a year plus, and a year ago he already started the account, and he's doing fantastic reviews, very in depth. I might say it's definitely more in depth than what I would normally do. So I would say time to watch. Go follow and subscribe that YouTube account. I think the watches in there are amazing, especially for the ones that he shared today. If you wanted to actually look at the piece more closely, I think certainly you can go on his channel and catch those videos out. So with that, thank you, Aaron, for coming on the pod and on Watch Jelly. Appreciate it. This is a classic example of how I hope to be able to build a community around watch collecting, and not just followers just because I have pretty girls on the thumbnail. So yeah. So I did consider that, but no, that's not what we're trying to do. So okay, fantastic, Aaron. So appreciate you joining the pod and Watch Jelly. So for everyone out there, again, this has been Elvin and Aaron. Thank you for staying to the end. Don't forget to keep watching Jelly, guys. Cheers. Signing out.